Mr. Fowles, the right to spell?
Yeah,
Fowles.
Fowles.
Fowles, perfect. Mr. Fowles, what's the relevance of Brazil in Karoon's global strategy?
Brazil is really important for Karoon. It's a place where we see we can grow. It's a place which I think also has demonstrated over the past few decades a real stability in the upstream oil and gas sector. Sanctity of contract is clearly paramount to the Brazilian regulator, and we see opportunities to continue to grow. We've invested here quite a lot of money now in Baúna, and we continue to invest. We look to grow our production further, and we think it's a very good investment environment. So for us, Brazil is a real focus, and that's really what brings us here.
Perfect. And how does Karoon intend to align itself with the decarbonization goals from the perspective of the energy transition?
Yeah, this is a really important point for us. We have gone through in 2021 a strategic review of all of our assets and how we intend to approach carbon. And really that comes down to three things. First of all, we need to continue to remove carbon from our operations, and we've done as much as we can at the moment in that. We've put in a mooring buoy which allows our vessels to moor up to that and reduce the diesel that they burn. We are burning now only gas on the FPSO instead of diesel, and we have optimized our flare. So really removing carbon from our operations is important. But we recognize more broadly that it's important to mitigate carbon emissions overall. And so we're now investing in carbon offsets, and those carbon offsets are high quality offsets, verified offsets that we buy from third parties. And that's a really important strategy for us because it brings us then into the third part of that strategy, which is really about us investing in our own projects so we can generate our own carbon offsets. And then we have a measure of Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions that we make, and we can balance that against our own offsets that we will generate as well. We've committed to being carbon neutral until the whole lifetime of our fields, until 2029 at the moment. And we were carbon neutral for Scope 1 and 2 during 21 and during 22 as well. So now we're looking to the future to do more of that, and we have a net zero commitment of 2035. So for us, it's a really important part of our whole strategy.
And if you can summarize, what are the company's plans for the coming years in Brazil?
Well, at the moment, we're busy investing in Baúna. We're about to start drilling the Patola field within our producing license. We've just finished investing in an intervention campaign, which has lifted our oil production from around 12,000 barrels per day to 22,000 barrels a day. The Patola campaign, which consists of 2 wells, will take that up to something around 30, maybe a little over 30,000 barrels a day. The total cost of that investment is over $300 million. So that added on top of the $665 million for the entry to Baúna is almost $1 billion already just in those projects. So we're very committed.
And actually, during which period of time this investment will be?
So the initial investment, of course, in Baúna was in 2020. And then since 2020, the late part of 2020, when we took the operations on, until the early part of next year, the first quarter of next year, that'll see that next part of $300 million invested. So by probably the end of this year, Karoon will already have invested well over $1 billion in our investments in Brazil.
So thank you very much for the interview.